Hello and welcome to Howzzat. As we get closer and closer to spotting the four teams that will make the IPL playoffs this year, games have become very interesting. Teams have started fighting a bit more, but Kings XI Punjab showing that it has the mettle, securing its fifth successive win. Good morning to you, Vijay, and glad to have you here today.
Yeah, good morning. Good to see Kings XI Punjab finally realizing and playing to its potential. And of course, Kolkata playing below par. So that probably made it interesting. But yes, you're right about the games being gaining in intensity, and we are in for some exciting times.
Vijay, the game all but ended in the second over when Mohammad Shami picked up 2 wickets, and this was just after Maxwell had sent back Nitish Rana. Now, Nitish Rana had played really well against R. Ashwin in the earlier game, but found himself short against Glenn Maxwell and top-edged the catch to Chris Gale. Now, after these 3 wickets, with Mohammad Shami picking up 2, it was always going to be difficult for Kolkata Knight Riders to come back into the game.
Yeah, without a blistering start, any team would struggle. And here, obviously, with Shami in such form, getting wickets, he's not bowling to contain, he's getting wickets. And he is enjoying this spell of IPL because it's a good preparation for him for the Australian tour. But yes, unless a team has a good start, it is very, very difficult to post a big score.
There was a recovery of sorts, Vijay, from losing 3 wickets inside 2 overs to getting to 10 runs an over at the halfway stage, thanks to Shubman Gill and Owen Morgan. KKR was in a pretty good spot, and it could have kicked on had someone like a Morgan or a Sunil Narayan stayed back and played a good knock.
Yeah, you're right about those two wickets because if had Morgan stayed on and Narayan with his range of shots, they could have made such a huge impact on KKR innings. But it was not to be. And Morgan's wicket, in fact, put a break. It kind of broke the rhythm. Good for Kings XI Punjab to have got this dangerous batsman. And then Narayan's wicket, I think, was a critical factor because he is one batsman who could have taken the game.
Uh, I think it wasn't just a day for the batsmen. They came in early, they got it early, some good balls, but I think in the middle overs we were still going well. In 9 overs we were around 90 for 3, and after the Morgan's wicket we just lost momentum.
So full credit to the Kings XI captain, actually, KL Rahul, for having backed his best bowlers against these two batsmen. He backed young Ravi Bishnoi to get Owen Morgan out with a googly, top-edging a sweep to the man on the long leg fence. And then he backed Chris Jordan to come and get Sunil Narayan's wicket. And that was a treat to watch, the manner in which Jordan got rid of Sunil Narayan for Kings XI Punjab.
Yes, very good thinking. Obviously, they had done their homework, and I would like to mention here that Mr. Gavaskar, he has been praising KL Rahul's captaincy is very, very high because the fact that he's in control and he's able to make those changes, even if the instructions are coming from outside, you can see that Rahul is in complete control from behind the stumps. He knows the whole space. Which fielder to move and which bowler to get. So here the brains of Anil Kumble is very clear, and KL Rahul are working very well for Kings XI Punjab.
Sticking with Shubman Gill, he got a half century on a day in which he got selected to the India Test side. Was a pretty good innings to watch, but he would have been disappointed, Vijay, with the fact that he was not able to kick on and take KKR to a score better than 160 or 170.
Yes, by his standards, I think he would be disappointed because he was well set and he had played the game. He was talking of how he wanted to stay on. The idea is for Gill to hang in and at one end and bat deep. So you're right, a bit disappointing because he couldn't finish his innings properly.
If there are no wickets in the other end falling, then it's my role to anchor the innings and try to play 15-20 overs, and then I'm trying to uh, make the whole game shift around myself. If in the middle overs we were not able to rotate the strike, if we would have been able to do that, we would have gotten 20-25 runs more than this.
And there was very little scope for acceleration, given how beautifully M. Ashwin and Ravi Bishnoi bowled in the middle over. There was very little scope for acceleration, and Kolkata Knight Riders was left dependent on Lockie Ferguson and some of his creativity to get a few runs in the end.
Oh yes, Ferguson's creativity, my God! I mean, the way he's come out and it's been kind of a revelation. The the shots he plays, but the two leg spinners have been very impactful. I mean, Bishnoi especially, and Ashwin, of course, much underrated bowler. But good to see two leg spinners in action. It keeps the batsman under constant pressure, and when they're bowling well, like they've been these two bowlers, it can be very difficult for the opponents.
And we got to see a shade of Rahul's captaincy as well, Vijay, when they were chasing 150 for victory. Mandeep Singh, who opened alongside KL Rahul, had apparently asked the captain to give him the freedom to bat the way he wanted to, because the expectations of scoring quickly at the start were leading to his dismissals. And then he said that Rahul gave him the freedom to bat the way he wanted to. And then he rewarded the team with a very good half century and staying on till the finish.
Yeah, it was good that Mandeep was hanging there, and that's the way he wants to bat. He loves to be in the thick of action. Initially, a bit slow, but it takes time to settle down. But once he is there, he knows how to finish a game. Let us hear what Mandeep has to say about his innings.
Actually, I had a word with Rahul before the game. I opened in the last game as well, and they wanted me to, have a go in the first 6 overs. And I told Rahul today that let me play my game, even if I take few balls. I know I have the belief that I can win games for the team, and that's what I did. Even I took some balls initially, but even in the middle overs, I was thinking that if I bat till the end, I will win this game for the team. And also, Chris makes the game so easy, and yes, I told him that you should never retire. I've been lucky, that I have played with the likes of Chris Gale, AB, Gilchrist, Virat Kohli, and actually I started with Chris Gale as well in 2010 with KKR only, and very fortunate to know him as a friend, and he's so humble, he's so down to earth, and like I said, he should never retire. He's always in great touch. I've never seen him struggle, and he's probably the greatest T20 player ever.
Would have been very emotional, Vijay, for Mandeep to not only play that innings of 66 not out, blossom in the company of both KL Rahul and Chris Gale, and then come and front the team before the press.
And see, the team has backed him, he has backed himself, and how beautifully he talks about his connect with his father, who always wanted him to remain not out. Even if he had scored 100, 200, as he says, his father wanted him to remain not out, and which he did last night. And I'm surprised, Rajaraman. I mean, for somebody who made his India debut in Zimbabwe in 2016, he hasn't really been given a decent opportunity, because even those 3 innings, he had a knock of 30 odd, then he had a half century. I think he was a very gifted batsman who has not, I mean, the selectors have not done justice over the years and kept him outside the team, which I think has been India's loss.
But viewed purely from a Kings XI perspective last night, the partnership with Chris Gale would have given him a lot of confidence. At one time, it looked like the asking rate was growing, and then Chris Gale effortlessly started hitting those sixes and took Kings XI over the line.
Yes, and Mandeep says, I mean, he says the job was not easy, but Chris Gayle comes and makes it so easy for him, and the partnership, the conversation, and how he talks about Chris Gayle's humility. So that gives him makes Mandeep's role important at the other end. So this partnership, I think, was one of the best moments of this tournament.
Vijay, we knew that Kings XI would always cruise to win. One, the score was too low, and two, the manner in which they approached the task of chasing 150 very clinically made sense, and always gave Kings XI Punjab fans the confidence that they would go on to win this game and tie with KKR at 12 points on the table and take the fourth spot at this moment.
Yes, Rajaraman, and last night we saw that it is not necessary that you just go and start tonking the ball. You can play proper cricket shots, build your innings, and once you are there to until the finish, that is what batting is about. And Mandeep, I think he proved it so beautifully.
Vijay, and if KKR had to win this game, Pat Cummins would have had to take a couple of wickets early on, and that was not to happen. And then the two spinner, Varun Chakravarti, a great day for him, having got selected into the India T20 side, and Sunil Narayan would have been very important for KKR. But to my mind, Sunil Narayan's bowling has undergone a sea change after he was reported for suspect action, and he's come back despite being removed from that list. He's come back. His bowling seems very different now and lacks the teeth that it had before.
Yes, because he knows there's so many cameras and he's under scrutiny, being watched from every angle. And if he now gets reported, that's the end of the road for him as far as bowling is concerned. So it is, you're absolutely right. His bowling lacks teeth. And for Varun, he ran into Chris Gayle. I mean, how do you contain Chris Gayle? Universe boss, he can hammer any bowler out of this, any bowler in the world. So it was a good day for Chakravarti to be picked for India, but not for KKR because they missed these two bowlers in action.
Let's take this question from Vineet Garge.
This year's IPL teams are defending scores very successfully, which is a bit contrary to the trend that we were seeing last year, where teams were preferring to chase and they were chasing pretty successfully. One of the reasons was the high amount of dew in India, and we are not seeing that much amount of dew in the UAE this year, even with the hot weather. So, what might be the reason for having less dew and teams defending so successfully?
Thanks, Vineet, for your question. Dew factor has been responsible not just in UAE, in India also. Whenever these night games are there, you have to keep the dew factor in mind. But often it also depends on the ground, on the playing conditions, not just the dew. So here, it has been a trend. They have preferred to chase only and only because of the dew factor.
Vijay, it must be said that the dew is a bit of a gamble. We have seen evidence of dew in some games, and when the captains have expected dew, it has not arrived. So it is a bit of a gamble, and captains always take a risk. And now I think they have settled down to wanting to chase because it has got a lot easier now. The pitches have become slower, and in the second half of a game, the pitches are getting slightly better so that their batsmen can play their shots a little bit with a little bit more freedom than in the first inning. Take a look at tonight's game. Delhi Capitals in with a chance of securing a qualification if it wins its match against Sunrisers Hyderabad. But David Warner's team will be keen to stay in the reckoning as well with another victory.
Of course, they will have to. They have no other choice, but they are going to run into a Delhi Capitals, which must be looking to seal this race now because they have to ensure there are no hiccups in the final phase of the tournament. They are there in the playoff, but they will have to be at their best to stop Hyderabad.
The one batsman that I'm going to watch with some interest when Delhi Capitals is batting is going to be left-handed Rishabh Pant. He has had to endure the disappointment of being left out of the T20 side. Can you imagine Rishabh Pant not being in the India T20 side? But he's kind of heaped it on himself with a run of scores that do not do his talent any justice.
And I think there's a message also, Rajaraman, from the selectors: don't take your place for granted. I mean, he had, you could see there was a lethargy in his movements. His fitness is under scrutiny now. If he's there for the test matches, for good reason, the selectors obviously don't want Indian cricket to lose on punt, but he had to be told, and this was the best way to tell him that, look, you are not the only available wicket keeper. There are others who can step into your shoes, and the message has gone loud and clear.
Vijay, it is also interesting that Vineet asked us a question about Surya Kumar Yadav's inclusion in the India side. Unfortunately for Vineet, the team was selected yesterday, and Surya Kumar Yadav does not find a place in the Indian side. Uh, I think it would have been very difficult for Surya Kumar to get into the side. He was competing with Shreyas Iyer and Manish Pandey, and it would have been a very difficult choice for the selectors, Vijay. What are your own thoughts on Surya Kumar Yadav's non-inclusion?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it was a tough choice, yes, and but there is no doubt that he's a very talented batsman. I mean, look at the way he takes charge of a chase, or when they're batting first. He is a wonderful stroke player. I feel sorry that for all his good runs in the domestic cricket and his talent, he has not been able to wear the India cap.
There are so many wonderful young cricketers, Vijay. I remember Manoj Tiwari tweeting last night about how Surya Kumar Yadav and Akshar Patel can consider themselves unlucky because people will talk about them in the future as cricketers who did not get the right opportunities, could not get a space in the Indian side because of the nature of the competition. But Manoj Tiwari seemed to be a kindred soul as far as Surya Kumar Yadav is concerned.
And Tiwari has also suffered. I mean, he never got a good, decent run. I mean, he deserved. He has performed exceedingly well in domestic cricket. Whenever the opportunity has arisen of playing under pressure, he has performed. But very unfortunate that he never got the second opportunity. And also, I would put the name of Jalaj Saxena, the Madhya Pradesh all-rounder who now plays for Kerala, another youngster who was denied despite performing repeatedly. So it's not that selectors are always right.
Right, Vijay. One of the biggest debating points last night on social media was the fact that when the selectors excluded Rohit Sharma from all three teams and said that they would watch his fitness, you got to see Mumbai Indians post a picture of Rohit Sharma batting at the net. Now, a lot of people have interpreted this as a war between Mumbai Indians and the Indian selector. I personally don't think it is war. When they have said that they're going to monitor his fitness, one of the ways of monitoring fitness is to allow a batsman a run either at the nets or in a match situation. And I only think that the selectors and Rohit Sharma will be on the same page. At least I'm hoping that they are on the same page.
Of course they are. I mean, it's a question of fitness. It's not a question of form. It's not that Virat Kohli has asked them to keep Rohit Sharma out. He's not so stupid. He's leading the Indian team and he wants the best players around. And why is so much being read into it? I mean, if the selectors have not picked him, they obviously have a reason. It is just that it has not been put in public domain why they haven't picked him. And as far as the fitness is concerned, just because Rohit comes and knocks the ball around in the net doesn't give any message about his fitness. He's standing and playing. Maybe a couple of shots he comes out and shows his footwork, but he's not running. It is not just batting in the nets. Your fitness means you have to be running on the field, reacting to situations. So I think too much is being read. And as far as Rohit Sharma is concerned, if he becomes fit in 10 days, who's stopping him? He will go and play in Australia.
As you pointed out, it is about running between the wickets. It's about being able to field. It's not just about spending time at the crease playing a few shots.
Yes, and here I think the fault lies with BCCI. They should have sent a clear message why Rohit Sharma has not figured in the three teams, and there wouldn't have been such talk. And when Mr. Gavaskar is also questioning them, it is high time BCCI comes out with a statement today.
Well, it was strange that the selectors, the press release that came out, kept very quiet about Ishant Sharma, about Rohit Sharma. There is no mention of Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. Obviously, fans will be keen on knowing what really the problems are with these three cricketers. But then we'll have to wait and watch what really happens, Vijay.
Of course, it's just lack of communication, nothing else. I don't see any controversy in Rohit not being in the team. And like you said, there's no mention of Ishan Sharma. There was so much talk of Ishan to be played in Australia, and Bhubaneswar, no mention. So obviously they are ruled out. Bhubaneswar and Ishan, and these two are completely ruled out of Australia's team.
From the distance, it does look like the bowling attack has been weakened because both Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and Ishan Sharma and their experience will be missed in Australia at this point of time, at least. There are a couple of young fast bowlers in the side, but I don't see them playing. It's going to be difficult for India because you've got two premier fast bowlers, Bumrah and Mohammad Shami, and in good nick. And then Umesh Yadav, who has been all over the place in IPL, and a couple of young fast bowlers to go with. Going to be interesting for Virat Kohli and his team on how they handle the limited resources that they seem to have at this point in time.
Yeah, and then the spinners are there. But I think if the youngsters are good, if any one youngster is good, if he gets an opportunity, he has to crack.
We can keep talking about India selection till the cows come home and still not be satisfied and still not satisfy everybody with our argument, with our conversation. But on that note, I'm going to take leave of you for now, and I hope to catch up with you tomorrow after a very good game between Delhi Capitals and Sunrisers Hyderabad.
Yeah, thank you, Rajaraman. Happy viewing.